with pride. It's almost as if you're the one showing up to the customer's door, greeting them with a smile. Because when you ship with the United States Postal Service, your business becomes our business. That's why we deliver more e-commerce packages to homes than anyone else in the country. The United States Postal Service. Priority, you.
So you get this idea for your company. Great. But then...
It's too expensive.
Too complicated.
I want to say yes.
We've never done it that way before.
Yeah, no.
Not during summer.
Nah.
Why now?
I liked it better before you explained it.
Start saying yes to your company's best ideas. American Express Open can help with money and know-how so you can get business done.
We can't do that, can we?
Yes, we can.
Visit open.com and see how American Express Open can help you get business done.
The following program is a paid presentation. The views and/or opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect those of the staff and management of KWAM. Welcome to the Variety Hour, where local leaders talk Memphis.
Listen to you move your mouth. I bet you come from way down south. Now don't tell me, let me guess. You from the town that I love best. Talk Memphis, I wish you would. Talk Memphis, you sound so good. Talk Memphis, high on the bluff. I swear I can't get enough. Listening to you talk that stuff. Talk Memphis, oh yeah. Talk Memphis.
This is the Memphis Real Estate Hour with your host, Dean Harris, on KWAM. And now, here's your host, Dean Harris.
All right, good morning, everybody. I am your host, Dean Harris. I'm with CrestCore Realty over on Summer Avenue. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Memphis Real Estate Hour this morning. Some of you might be tuning in on AM 990 Memphis, 107.9 FM, The New Voice. Some of you could be streaming us online, www.kwam990.com. And then we're also, of course, on Facebook Live. So we're pretty much everywhere. If you can't find us, you're not looking. You're not giving it a good effort. So we got a great show this morning. The Memphis Real Estate Hour, guys, concentrates on investing in Memphis real estate. We also focus on our residential real estate market. Today's going to be all about investing. So we got a big show ahead of us. I remind you every single week, guys, that I am an investor. If you have that old home you need to sell quickly, or if you know someone that has that home they need to sell quickly, please give me a call, 901-619-6170. I'll be happy to make you a cash offer on that home. I don't care what the condition is. If it's run down, if you inherited it, if you don't even know where it's at, doesn't matter to me. Just give me a call. Let me know the address, and I'll get you a cash offer on it. As I mentioned, we're on Facebook Live today. We're going to have, for the next few weeks, we're going to do a little giveaway, a $100 gift card. We're going to ask a question after the 30-minute mark. So around 8:35, we'll ask you a question from some of the information we gave you here in the first segment. And first one to respond on the Facebook Live stream will receive a $100 Visa gift card. So we're excited to try to get the listeners involved and give away a little free money. So stay tuned for that here coming up later on in the show. Last week we had Will Griffin with Griffin, Clift, Everton, and Mashmeyer on the show. We talked about tax sales and land bank sales, and man, what a topic that was. We've had David Lenore, the Shelby County trustee, on before talking about tax sales and land bank sales. So we dove into that last week. If you've got some interest or some questions from that or like to hear that show, go to the Facebook Live or go to the Facebook page, The Memphis Real Estate Hour. And all the past shows and all the past videos that we've taken are on the Facebook page, so you can go and check that out there from last week. Today's show rundown, I'm going to have the investment of the week, as I like to call it, free money. It's kind of free. Now, the $100 Visa gift card is free. It's free. So this is a little closer to free, but I'm going to give you 3 good properties that I've got that are all occupied. I've got Dan Butler on the show with CrestCore Realty. We're going to talk about why real estate and why Memphis. We discuss national investors on the show all the time, and the common theme, as we get in depth with our conversation with them, is why Memphis. Why do they choose here, or why are they thinking about choosing here versus other cities? So can't wait to dive into that. Okay, let's start off with our investments of the week. So if you guys want to get your pens, get your papers, get your markers right all over your kids, whatever you need to do to get this information down. Okay, let's start off with 3521 Denver Road. That's in 38127. Great little property up there. 3-bedroom, 1-bath. It's listed for $25,900, and this property is occupied at $575 rent. I know you guys have heard us talk about the multipliers on here before, but $575 rent for a $25,900 property is extremely good, especially with it occupied. You hope that you've got no more than just a little bit of deferred maintenance on it. So 3000 block of Denver Road, 38127. It's occupied at $575 a month, and the list price is $25,900. 2000 block, number 2 here, the second one, guys. 2000 block of Imogene Street in 38114. Similar numbers here. $500 rent. It's occupied for $26,900. So that's 2311 Imogene Street. It's in 38114 over there in the Orange Mound area. $26,900, 3-bedroom, 1-bath, and it's occupied at $500. So if you just listen to those last two, you're looking at about $52,000 to collect $1,075 in rent. I don't think I need to tell you that that's good. Those are great numbers. Last one here, 3000 block of Voltaire Avenue up in Raleigh, 38128. This one is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath property. It's listed at $46,900, and it's occupied at $800 a month. Now that's good money too. Love Raleigh up there. That huge Nike plant drives a whole lot of tenants and a whole lot of renters. So love the Raleigh area. Again, that's 3792 Voltaire Avenue. Zip code is 38128. And the list price is $46,900. It's occupied at $795 a month. So there's your 3 investments of the week. If you guys have questions about these, you can comment on the Facebook Live thread, or you can text me at 901-619-6170. And if email's your thing, you can email me at dean@CrestCore.com. So I gave you 3 ways to reach me there, so no excuses on you couldn't find out which one they were. I heard some guy tell me that last week. Man, I had no way to get them. Man, I'm giving you about a half a dozen ways that you can find these things. So give me a call, Facebook, or email me if you have any more questions about the investments of the week. All right, we're going to take a real short break, kind of reset the show. We'll come back with Dan Butler with CrestCore Realty. We're going to talk about why real estate, why Memphis, and dive into that. We're also going to have our $100 Visa gift card giveaway. So stay tuned. You're listening to the Memphis Real Estate Hour on 107.9 FM, The Voice.
KWAM, now on FM 107.9 and AM 990.
Is it a good time to buy or refi? Is it a buyer's market or a seller's market? Are interest rates going sky high soon? Hi, I'm Ludi Calloway, the mortgage lady at iBank Mortgage. I tell my customers to ask questions, get answers. So join me every Monday morning at 8, and I will tell you what's going on in today's still changing mortgage world. Remember, most people think about mortgages a few times in their lives. I think about them every single day. Tune in Mondays at 8.
Griffin, Clift, Everton, and Mashmeyer, PLLC, is a full-service law firm with over 50 years of experience in the Memphis area. Real estate closings have continued to be the forefront of their law practice, which include residential, commercial, and development real estate transactions, drafting and negotiation of real estate contracts and leases, business information, preparation of wills, probate, and estate planning. Their firm represents a number of builders, developers, investors, and local lending institutions, and is approved to close transactions for most local banks and mortgage companies. In addition, they offer title search, title examination services, and title insurance through several well-established title insurance companies in the Memphis area, as well as Tennessee and Mississippi. They strive to offer services in a prompt and timely fashion, while advising and representing clients in a zealous and professional manner. Should their offered services be of need, please contact William N. Griffin Jr. or any of their attorneys at 901-752-1133. They can also be found online at www.gcemlaw.com or on Facebook.
Investors or buyers, if you're looking for the best customer service and most competitive rates on a home loan, come to Brighton Bank. They offer a quick approval process, fast closing, and they even finance 85% of purchase price in most cases. At Brighton Bank, they work with every kind of loan, VA, FHA, USDA programs, traditional conventional financing programs, long-term fixed financial, and bridge loans made easy. When it comes to home loans, they mean business. Call them today, 901-758-1740. That's Brighton Bank at 901-758-1740.
Now, here's Mid-South weather from News Channel 3's Severe Weather Center. Brought to you by the Crescent Club, hosting the people and ideas that moved Memphis forward for nearly 30 years. Poplar and I-240. Call for a free tour at 901-684-1010.
Partly to mostly cloudy, continued warm with temperatures in the mid and upper 80s this afternoon. Winds southwesterly. Scattered showers will linger across the area. Temperatures drop into the mid 70s tonight. We're warming to near 90. Heat index values could top 100 by tomorrow. Smith Imports with more than 125 pre-owned Mercedes, all with remaining factory warranty. Sales, service, and great financing rates. That's low prices, high quality since 1985. Visit smithimports.com. I'm News Channel 3's Todd Demers. On The Voice, FM 107.9 and AM 990.
Now you can listen and watch too. Go to our website to listen online and see our studio cam, kwamthevoice.com.
All right, welcome back to the Memphis Real Estate Hour. I'm your host, Dean Harris, CrestCore Realty. I've got Dan Butler here in the studio with me. Good morning, Dan.
Good morning.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm hanging in there. We're going to dive into why real estate and why Memphis. A lot of people ask us all the time. I had a guy, as a matter of fact, yesterday that kind of challenged me, and he said, I'm thinking about several different markets, and he said, tell me why you think I should put my money into Memphis. He was out of California. And, of course, I threw out our turnkey alternative at him, and he really enjoyed that program. But I really just told him, we're a cash flow king. That's what Memphis is.
Yeah.
We're not an appreciation market, so he appreciated the honesty, coming from me in regards to that. And we found that, that really pays dividends for our investors. But why real estate? Why Memphis? Dan, if somebody asks you that, what's the first thing you go to? Because I know you talk even more than I do on a national level. You were just in Dallas.
Right.
What do you tell people? What do you go to first?
Well, I got some news stats to share with you after this weekend. It was I had a great seminar in Dallas. We had some top guys all over the nation, that do this kind of thing, either buy and flip, wholesale, or just own a lot of property.
Yep.
And so we were just challenging each other of what you should be doing and why you're doing what you're doing. And so we had one of the guys there was a economist, and he threw the slide up, and it was like my favorite slide that I've seen in years. And basically it was a 30-year review of stocks, bonds, and real estate. Okay.
Now you're going to touch some heartstrings here with this.
Yeah,
I guarantee you,
this is like, it was just like this. Just clarity came through with just seeing this graph. But basically, it showed stocks 30-year average. What do you think it is?
Man, I wouldn't even know where to guess because all my money's in real estate.
Yeah.
You tell me where it's
around 10%.
Okay, that's what you can average
on a 30-year. If you don't go crazy with it, but just a standard portfolio averages 10%, 10%, something like that. Bonds, more like 4 or 5%. Okay.
Very conservative.
Which one's more volatile, bonds or stocks?
I got to go with stocks.
Stocks, right? It's going to have a lot of ups and downs.
Yep.
But historically, the average has been better than bonds. All right. Real estate, on average, for the last 30 years, the return on that investment is also at 10%. And so the caption, basically, he didn't actually have the caption, but what my summary of that was, you get the return of a stock in real estate. You get the return of a stock with the volatility of a bond.
Yeah, see that, and I go back and forth with investors too on stock market versus real estate market. And one of the things I always go to when I start comparing, if let's use an example and say you had X amount of dollars, large amount, $250,000 in the stock market. Okay.
Enron.
Yeah, right. See that? You know where I'm headed.
Yeah, I know.
So, I mean, let's say you've got that, your life savings in the market, and it's in fairly conservative stuff, but you do take some ups and downs, and, one night you're at home asleep, and something happens in the company with some of the CEOs or top ends, whether it's a immoral issue or whether it's just
embezzlement
or whatever it could be, they lose their job. Bad press is coming for the company. All of a sudden, they plummet 10, 15, 20% in a 2 or 3 day time frame, and you're sitting at home driving to work, minding your own business, doing what you're supposed to do, and you've lost X amount of dollars. Yeah, I mean, 20, 30%, 40%, and it just keeps falling, and you say to yourself, well, what am I going to do? Do I sell it and cut my loss? Do I wait and come back? It's just it's a gamble, really.
Well, some of those happen so quickly. Like I was watching a special on Enron, like I was joking about earlier, saying that. But I mean, they went overnight, just plummeted, and so then people were just kind of hold on, didn't know, and then it plummeted. Kept just going, and then all of a sudden
people are broke.
Zero.
That's right.
$1 million goes to zero. So
quickly. All right. So you're debating and figuring out what you should do during that time frame, and now you're busted.
That's right.
Okay. Flip that over to the real estate side,
right?
And talk about a nightmare scenario would be a natural disaster that you can't control, a tornado or an earthquake, I guess we could, people talk about here some, but
the last
fire.
Yeah, well, like the last recession, 08, 9, 10, that to me, that was a volatile time. And
that's right.
And when we had real estate, the value went down, right? But if you bought it and the value went down, who cares? Like, you're still paying it off. Like, you'd say, well, you're upside down,
Right.
And it's like, well, but yeah, I got appraisals in 17.
Yeah, for now.
And I'm higher than I was in 08, 09. So,
that's right.
But my point on that is, like, the return on the investment did not change.
That's right. Stayed the same.
Now rents, did they change a little bit? Yeah, I mean, there were certain neighborhoods that I had that were high demographic, where people were in construction, those kind of things. So those guys consolidated houses.
Yeah.
And so then I had to reduce rent, not much, $25. But so I took a dip in my return instead of, 11, 12.
Completely losing everything.
That's right. There was no, that was not going to happen.
So your worst nightmare in real estate for rentals to me is the home burn. The absolute worst is a death in the rental. Okay. Next to that, you got a natural disaster, tornado, floods, fire, whatever it could be that's out of your control, that your homeowner's insurance will reimburse you for. And in some cases, you make out a little better. It doesn't cost you quite as much as they reimburse you. So that's one thing that I go to. If someone says, well, I've got X amount of dollars in the stock market, I'm doing well with that, or I'm, for now, that's one of the examples that I use. And for me, in my own peace of mind, I would much rather be able to put my hands on something, see a home that belongs to me, see a tenant, get to know the situation, my management company, whatever it is. It allows me to put my hands and touch on the investment versus I got this computer screen here that says I've got 1,000 shares of this company.
And it's all based on somebody else that
no control whatsoever.
Thousands of employees. Don't know what's going on.
That gets to me personally.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it might not to everyone, but that gets to me. What else, Dan, when you say, why real estate and why Memphis?
Well, I got a lot of stats. I love coming back from stuff like this.
Numbers.
Just the numbers drive a lot of decisions, in my opinion. One of the things that we talked a lot about was there's 7.2 million new renters from 09 to now.
Yeah.
7.2 million through the U.S. that are renting that they weren't, that weren't in
10 times the size of Memphis.
Right.
That's how many more renters are in the country.
Yep. Households, there's 8.6 million new households in the last 7 years. There's the building permits are low. Cost to build is expensive. A lot of developers got wiped out Wendy talked about that.
It's a huge problem
It's
right
a huge
now, Dan.
problem. They got wiped out, so then the banks, they're wanting the builder to do the development and the
And they
building.
don't have the capital
They don't
to
have
do
the
it.
capital, or they don't have the desire to take that risk,
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
So, except for like you see a lot of infill happening, where a house burned down or a house is small and they tore it down. It's just old instead of redoing it. But
You see a lot of that in East Memphis, Midtown now.
Yep. Rents are going up. They've continued to steadily go up. Rental vacancies are low. That one of the, like San Jose is 1%, Denver 2.8%. Like,
explain that further. Explain what you mean.
Just
by
means
that.
like there's just 1% of things available to rent.
That's it.
So there's a frenzy. There was one guy from Denver. He was talking about how one goes vacant. And he's got 90. What did he say? 2 days he had 92 showings, calls, 92 for one little house in Denver. I just thought that
wonder
was
why
amazing.
all those people are moving to Colorado.
What's that? Why they aren't?
Yeah. Why are they moving out to Colorado, I wonder?
Well, I talked to a guy yesterday on the way to the airport, and he had to rent himself because, he was scared to buy. Number one, he didn't know how long he was going to be there. Number two, just the cost.
Yeah.
His payment would be double by just going and buying it.
That's insane.
So,
right?
which drives, what we talked about, job growth, unemployment. The lowest it's been in years. I think it's around 4%, maybe 4.5 as a national average.
That's low.
When the recession hit, what was it, 8 or 9? It'd gotten pretty high, right?
Real high.
Places like Dallas have created 115,000 new jobs in the last 3 years.
What do you-
115,000.
Yeah, what do you think that's a result from? You were just there. Why do you think there's 115,000 new jobs in Dallas?
Well, I think they've just done a good job of taking tax breaks, making it business friendly, promoting capitalism. I mean, we were looking outside of our hotel room. There's cranes everywhere in Dallas.
Yeah.
You hear the same thing about Nashville. They've done a good job. If you look at our state, that's what thing that kept popping up. Like when they're showing good, real strong statistics. Nashville, Memphis was okay.
Nashville's growing, though.
Nashville's growing. Just that capitalist.
I will say this though: there's no investing in Nashville hardly. I mean, there's some, but you can't get the bang for your buck.
No,
up
they were
there
very
like you
interested
can.
in the guys. There were some guys from Nashville. They were asking a lot of questions about Memphis and,
of course,
why is everybody investing? Should I be down there investing and that kind of thing?
Yes, the answer is yes. Did you tell them yes and give them
I
a card?
did. Yeah, I gave them a card. Said call Dean. Millennials.
Yeah.
I mean, you're a millennial, Gil, right?
Oh man,
We were just joking.
we're about to pull some strings.
Pull some strings.
I think that I am on the fence.
Are you on the fence?
Yeah, I think
by like
so.
a couple days.
By a couple days.
What is that? I mean, what is the threshold to be considered a millennial? Are you
Gil? You can tell.
Are you 29 and a half and younger, Gil? Since you said you're 30, is that what it is?
That's what it is. Well, I don't know. I feel like that there are certain things that, like I said earlier, we were talking between breaks. The online dating, I think,
has
is a big
changed.
part of it. Yeah. Like, I mean, that's the culture of of how America is now, is online dating. Like most
Swipe
people
right.
have met. Most people have met online somewhere.
Yeah.
And I think that that's really changed a lot. And, it's really weird. I'm on this station a lot, and a lot of times people talk about millennials like some weird new species that they
Fungus.
haven't. Yeah. Well, not even a fungus. They're just like they just don't understand it. They're like millennials. Like they list all these things about them, and they're like trying to understand them.
I pray I'd never get like that about any
person.
any younger person that I'm never like, oh my gosh, what's the matter with them?
We have a colleague that on LinkedIn all the time. He's just hammering about millennials because his point is like they don't know where they're going. They're just kind of free spirited, more, and that's what drives this whole rent thing. They're more transient, right? They're more nomadic. You used the word nomadic earlier.
Yeah. Oh, maybe that's the thing. Maybe that's what the stamp of a millennial is. Like I work. I have jobs and stuff like that. But maybe it's this. I don't know, this idea of being your own boss. And
I mean, there's something to be said for that free spirit, I mean, there's something to that, but at the same time, I guess you reach an age where, you need some direction and you need some purpose, I guess.
Yeah, I will say that as 30-year-old, when I look at this younger generation, this is the first time that I've looked and been like, they're so different. They are. I mean, they really are. There's like this sense of entitlement that I haven't seen with any other generation.
Well, I was sat beside a young lady, a junior in high school, last night on the airplane coming back from Dallas, and she was scared, so she started talking to me, and I'm like, "What are you using?" She kept taking pictures of herself and like had like mouse ears and big glasses, like just pop on her face, and then
Snapchat.
She's snapping.
Yeah, she's like, Snapchat, and I was like, I've heard of it, have no clue what you're talking about. Why are you sending pictures to all your friends with you sitting on an airplane
with bunny ears
and big glasses? I just
insane.
And she kept doing it, like at the baggage claim. She'd take a picture of her this way, and like
they're trying to capture their life around them, but they're living through their phone. Like I remember,
she's not talking to anybody.
No.
And
I watched a.
We've touched a chord with Gil.
Yeah, that's right. Nike puts on this big thing where they get the top basketball players to come and like they do like this conference. And I remember watching as they opened the doors and everybody rushed in. Every one of the kids was on their phone filming them walking in, not looking at anything around them other than through the glass and the
lens.
phone.
That's their glasses.
I hate that. That part does.
Well, and I'll parlay that into one of the things that we talked about this weekend was that millennials aren't necessarily entrepreneurial as a general rule, but they like working for themselves.
So they could be motivated, you think, to do this.
They could be motivated to just live at the state of, anywhere. Like one guy I met yesterday, he was working out of Philadelphia, but living in Fort Collins, Colorado. So that's just how this world is going. And
Skype, you can do whatever.
Skype,
you can be there.
Snapchat, whatever you can do with that.
That is amazing. Now, that part I think is cool. You no longer have to be behind a cubicle in Philadelphia.
Well,
you can be in Denver or wherever and doing the same thing.
Yeah, and which led me to, kind of sum up why real estate. I mean, because of that, you can invest, that we can, even if we wanted, Detroit, and we'll talk about that a little later, you and I can go invest in Detroit because of technology and people that are set up to handle national and international investors. I mean, so we can sit anywhere we are in the nation or the world and pick a spot that we want to invest in. Now,
and do it.
Yeah, and do it. Now you get into the whole trust, integrity, and all that stuff. That's a whole other show.
That is a whole other show. But I've said this before. I can do my job essentially from anywhere. Where I'm in the office every day, we meet clients. But I mean, I could do the same thing.
You never leave.
Yeah, I mean it's an all day thing, man. It's an adjustment.
A real estate agent never leaves his office. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah. Yeah,
that's good though.
Yeah, well, it's to do what focused. We do, I have to be. It is a little. It's a definitely different job. But guys, we're in the studio with Dan Butler with CrestCore Realty. We're talking about why real estate and why Memphis. We're going over kind of some of the difference between stocks and bonds and real estate. Why people should invest one way or the other. Real estate. We talked about how you have the security of your homeowner's insurance. If it's a tragedy happens, the worst thing possible. A fire or death, your insurance can cover you. When it comes to stocks and bonds and things like that, if you take a dip, you've got absolutely no control over that. And we just kind of went over some stats of it. What we're going to do, we're going to take a real short break. I'm going to come back, and we're going to get into kind of the renters versus owners here in Memphis. We're going to get specific on why Memphis. So we talked about why real estate. Come back from the break, we're going to dive into why Memphis. So stay tuned with us. Real short break. We'll be right back. You're listening to the Memphis Real Estate Hour on 107.9 FM, The Voice.
KWAM. Streaming live at KWAMTheVoice.com.
Investors or buyers, if you're looking for the best customer service and most competitive rates on a home loan, come to Brighton Bank. They offer a quick approval process, fast closing, and they even finance 85% of purchase price in most cases. At Brighton Bank, they work with every kind of loan, VA, FHA, USDA programs, traditional, conventional financing programs, Long-term fixed financial and bridge loans made easy. When it comes to home loans, they mean business. Call them today, 901-758-1740. That's Brighton Bank at 901-758-1740.
Is it a good time to buy or refi? Is it a buyer's market or a seller's market? Are interest rates going sky high soon? Hi, I'm Ludi Calloway, the mortgage lady at iBank Mortgage. I tell my customers to ask questions, get answers. So join me every Monday morning at 8 and I will tell you what's going on in today's still changing mortgage world. Remember, most people think about mortgages a few times in their lives. I think about them every single day. Tune in Mondays at 8.
Griffin, Clift, Everton, and Mashmeyer, PLLC, is a full-service law firm with over 50 years of experience in the Memphis area. Real estate closings have continued to be the forefront of their law practice, which include residential, commercial, and development real estate transactions, drafting and negotiation of real estate contracts and leases, business information, preparation of wills, probate, and estate planning. Their firm represents a number of builders, developers, investors, and local lending institutions, and is approved to close transactions for most local banks and mortgage companies. In addition, they offer title search, title examination services, and title insurance through several well-established title insurance companies in the Memphis area, as well as Tennessee and Mississippi. They strive to offer services in a prompt and timely fashion while advising and representing clients in a zealous and professional manner. Should their offered services be of need, please contact William N. Griffin Jr. or any of their attorneys at 901-752-1133. They can also be found online at www.gcemlaw.com or on Facebook.
Now, here's Mid-South weather from News Channel 3's Severe Weather Center. Brought to you by the CrestCore, hosting the people and ideas that moved Memphis forward for nearly 30 years. Poplar and I-240. Call for a free tour at 901-684-1010.
Partly to mostly cloudy, continued warm with temperatures in the mid and upper 80s this afternoon. Winds southwesterly. Scattered showers will linger across the area. Temperatures drop into the mid 70s tonight. We're warming to near 90. Heat index values could top 100 by tomorrow. Smith Imports with more than 125 pre-owned Mercedes, all with remaining factory warranty. Sales, service, and great financing rates. That's low prices, high quality since 1985. Visit smithimports.com. I'm News Channel 3's Todd Demers. On The Voice, FM 107.9 and AM 990.
KWAM. Streaming live at KWAMTheVoice.com.
All right, welcome back to the Memphis Real Estate Hour. I'm your host, Dean Harrison with CrestCore Realty. I'm live in the studio this morning with Dan Butler with CrestCore Realty. And we're talking about why real estate and why Memphis. But first, let's get to this trivia question for a $100 Visa gift card, guys. Be the first one to respond on the Facebook Live feed today with the answer to this question, and we will get you a $100 Visa gift card. So the question is, how many new renters do we have from 2009 to 2016? How many new renters from 2009 to 2016? Be the first one to comment on the Memphis Real Estate Hour Facebook page, the live feed of the show.
You picked a tough question this time.
And we'll contact you. Got to be listening. That's for sure.
Right. You got to
and we will get you that card after the show. All right, Dan. You mentioned before we cut out to break, we talked briefly a little bit about Detroit and what's going on in Detroit. Tell me some of what you learned. I know you talked about this in Dallas a little bit. Tell me what you learned a little bit about Detroit and what's going on there.
Man, I was just really encouraged with what I heard about Detroit this weekend. Like everybody thinks crime, raising houses, automotive has just destroyed that city, which I think they went through a bad time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what I learned this weekend is, man, it's on the rebound. The guy that owns Cavaliers, Quicken Loans, Dan Gilbert. How did he get his start? Do you know?
Quicken Loans.
That's where he started.
That's the money. I'm sure he's gone and made money elsewhere, but the money came from Quicken Loans.
Gotcha. Which I think they're one of the biggest loan.
They're one of the largest in Memphis.
Or the largest, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
Not for new loans. It's any refinance any,
okay.
but they lead in. I think Wendy Greenlaw was telling us this a few weeks
That's
ago.
right.
But
I
they
forgot about
lead the county in loans total, not brand new housing loans, but
Just
refinance.
loans. Got it.
Yeah.
So, but all the summary of that to say, like, you know, so there was a couple guys from Detroit talking about it this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the returns are like 17% gross yield. It's 18%.
They got plenty of tenants up there.
Yeah, they got a lot of tenants, and it's like, so everybody's like, was it related to the big three, you know, the automotive, GM, and those guys? And like, no, it's really IT, and, you know, just the guy, Dan, has built a lot of infrastructure in downtown, redoing buildings, creating businesses.
Yep.
And I read something one last night to kind of further that. I think he's created like 14,000 jobs with the companies he's created. Man. So the guys poured in, and, you know, the I forgot how big they said, but it was like Detroit's so big that it's like several cities all in one. You know what I mean? Like a Boston and a couple other sizes of Boston, like all in one in Detroit. So it's a lot of suburbs. And
can you imagine what that place was like in the 70s and 80s? Just thriving and booming with the motor companies.
So I just think that leads into, you know, I think we got some stats on Memphis, but I just feel like we're kind of in that same flux. Maybe not to that degree.
It's a little smaller version.
You know, we didn't have that crash like they did.
Right.
But I feel like we got a resurgence of Memphis, and we'll talk about that later.
If something ever happens to FedEx, we will.
That's true.
I mean, if something were to ever happen to FedEx, we'd have a similar type of scenario that Detroit's got with their motor industry.
Well, Detroit became so desolate that, like, nature started taking back over parts of the city.
Nature.
It did. I mean, they're like, I believe
Where'd that
they were
house go?
bears.
A tree ate it.
Tree ate it, yeah. The ivy is gone.
So renters versus owners, you know, we've hit this before in Memphis, but, you know.
It's close to 50-50.
Yeah. Inside the city, you're saying, not in the county, but in the city limits.
City limits is, you know, closer to 50-50. That's off by a few points. I got to get the newest data, but
what's our national average?
Like 63%.
So we're high on that. That's you know, if you say why Memphis, that's
so national average. I should clarify that 63% of people own is the national average.
That's right.
In Memphis, it's closer to 50.
That's right.
So what does that mean?
Way more tenants here.
Way more tenants. Like I think there's 300,000 parcels. If you just did it kind of macro level, and 13% difference. And again, I'm giving just high level general numbers, but
you don't want anybody to hold this to.
Yeah, I was like, I feel like Will Griffin over here, like
with his books.
Now let me clarify.
I love Will, man. That's great. He had a whole library.
It depends.
Of books. Yeah.
You know, like now this is not legal representation.
It's a disclaimer.
This disclaimer. That's right.
But
it's close to 40,000 parcels, right?
Yeah.
That are available to rent. So that's just a huge number, and that's why.
Think about how many people in your group, you know, that own 500 plus houses, you know, in Memphis. Very limited amounts. I mean,
there's nobody.
Probably count them on one hand.
Yes. In fact, Wendy sent me that this weekend. It was so cool. She sent me every owner in Memphis and how many they own. You know, by entity. Didn't give me addresses and stuff. It was just
the business name or whatever.
Yep. So like BLT is the largest owner. One of the hedge funds out there. Mm-hmm. They own over 1,000 houses, but even at that, you know, so a lot of statistics this weekend. Still, those guys that own one or two houses is the majority of people. You know, so there's still plenty of opportunity. That's who owns.
Newbies.
Yeah, newbies. That's who owns the majority of rental properties out there. Accidental landlords or newbies just getting into it.
That's who we aim this show towards.
Yeah.
If you own 500 houses. You know, I mean, we need you as a guest.
You need as a guest. You need to be teaching us.
We're talking to the folks that own none to 5 to 10.
Right.
Those are kind of who this show aims to, and I'm glad to hear that that's the majority of our owners here in Memphis.
Yeah, I mean, so you know, I think that the which leads into when people ask us why Memphis, you know, I always say, well, it's got one of the best price to rent ratios. Mm-hmm. And I say, what does that mean?
Yeah, I'll have to say, explain that.
Yeah, so in Memphis, you know. What do you think of $50,000 house? What would you tell people the rent range is on $50,000?
50, anywhere from $750 to $850.
Yeah, so an average $800.
Yep, about $800.
And so times 12 is $9,600. Divide that by 50,000. That's a 19 something gross yield.
Gross.
That's before expenses.
Yeah.
I see a lot of people starting to talk about gross yield, which I think is a pretty interesting a way to start the conversation.
Why? Because they think that different people have different methods of
calculating the net yield.
The net.
That's right.
So
That's
I guess that is true.
The gross will neutralize the return. as far as just comparing apples to apples from Denver to here, and kind of where your starting point is. And then you got to break down the expense ratio, and I think it changes for A, B, and C, or multifamily, and
or investor to investor.
That's true.
I mean, because some guys are going to do it different than some others.
Yeah, one of your favorite investors this weekend was, he was adamant about putting extra money in his, he said he's OCD and want to put extra money in his property, which is great, right? He's adding value.
Which, if you asked me that,
I wouldn't do it.
Oh, forget that.
Yeah,
just leave
I think it was a fence, right?
It was a fence. He wanted, it was a little janky fence.
Yeah.
And it was up and operable.
That's right. It was
I'd have
secure.
Left it. Secure. I'd have left it.
Didn't look the greatest.
Him, on the other hand, he was like,
right.
No, that bothers me.
So, yeah, that will affect gross yield. But, like, Greenville, South Carolina, which, I love dearly. We had Hunter, a couple months ago.
Yep.
A $50,000 house over there. He said, man, I wouldn't buy a $50,000 house over there because it's a $500 rental. It's the old mill house. They had mills in Greenville, just a little shotgun, 2-bedroom
for
$50,000 on a $500 rent. That's a gross yield of 12%. So if you took said apples to apples, and you just said 50% expenses, you're 10% net yield in Memphis versus 6% in Greenville.
Shotgun
so
houses for $50,000. You can buy shotgun houses here for $20,000.
So. And then it's so funny how things, I was thinking about this topic yesterday, and one of our friends, a friend of mine, posted on Facebook yesterday, and it showed Memphis was ranked 12, the top 12 on gross yield at, an average of 13.9. And that's going to take your B, C, and A, B, and C properties, but as an average, 13.9% gross yield in Memphis. So that's going to take your Cordovas all the way down to Orange Mound and blend those together. And then Detroit was number 1 with 17%. So that's what's so interesting.
Are investors flooding to Detroit, though? That's kind of my thing. Like that,
they aren't.
They're a little hesitant.
They are hesitant. Yep. I mean, they're all, it sounds like those guys are doing good business up there, but it's no different than Memphis getting over the crime stigma, right? And so we have to explain how we street to street. And
yeah, I look at Detroit and I think there's probably as many houses there as you want to buy. There's probably no shortage. If you went up there and said, "Hey, I got $1 million, I want 30 houses with you," you can probably find it real easy, I would assume. Whereas here, we can find them. It's just more of a challenge, a little bit more digging, a little bit more homework.
And this is a tangent, and I'll just go off. One of the was the most interesting thing that I could see coming down the pipe that's going to be real interesting is modular homes.
Really?
Because like Detroit or even in Memphis, think about how many lots have been. Houses have been raised and there's lots.
Yep.
Heck, I own several lots just from fires or just somehow I got a lot from a transaction.
Yeah.
Well, you got these modular homes that you can buy and they come in a container and then just you put in 2 pieces together, and it's much better than they used to be. When I was growing up 30-something years ago, we'd have this kind of plop a house down and it's like, man, that's a cheap looking house.
Yeah.
Well, now they made them really, really nice. I mean, you can get them from $45 to $65 a square foot. The walls are straight.
Explain to the listeners what a modular home is.
It's basically a house built in a factory to your state code. All you have to do is put your foundation or your crawl space. You bring your plumbing and your electrical in, plop the house down. You got a crew comes in, just connects the house together, and then boom, you've got the house.
Legos.
That's exactly what I used this morning. It's like Legos. And so I think that's going to be an interesting phenomenon. We're really. A guy in Detroit's doing that. We're going to track him and watch,
see what he's doing.
See he's doing, how he's doing it. There's a.
Are they cheaper?
Well, $45 to $65 a square foot. I think you can get higher, but that's before lot and before you're bringing your services in. But still, that's pretty darn cheap for
for a new home.
And what he's going to do is every infill lot he buys, he's just going to plop the same house down to drive his cost. If he buys the same house over and over.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because if you go into this neighborhood, one house, this neighborhood, one house, this neighborhood.
Builders do. That's why. That's why the whole idea of mass production and mass building the same thing came about. Easier on the subs, easier on everybody.
Well, we got off on a tangent there, but just I think we ought to do a show one day about modular homes and where that's going and what's that look like, and I think that's something to watch. I just think that's
something to keep an eye on.
Something to keep an eye on for sure. Yeah.
Some other reasons that people pick Memphis or talk about Memphis. Dan, our downtown is growing. Service masters come in.
Who else is downtown? Do you guys know? Like who else sticks in your mind?
I know Service Master we just mentioned. International Papers out east. FedEx is out east. I don't know.
AutoZone.
AutoZone is downtown. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm missing that. AutoZone.
There's a couple others that have taken over some of those bigger buildings, and
yeah.
I mean, I know Henry Turley is building a lot of those apartments, condos. I mean,
yeah.
The restaurant scene down there is incredible.
I will tell you this: I don't do a whole lot of residential real estate downtown, but I know some agents that do, and man, they're so busy they can't stand it.
Yeah, they're busy.
Yeah, they are. I mean, downtown is hopping.
Selling those views, selling the
views, selling
be able
the
to
river.
walk to everything, walk to the river, run on the river.
Well, you got it. We talked about millennials earlier.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an attractive thing. I mean,
You live downtown, Gil?
No.
Yeah. Well, he ain't never gonna let us. Back out there.
I live in Cooper Young, sir.
There you go. Okay.
It's all that's close enough.
Yeah. Well, we're giving Gil hell this morning.
Yeah.
So, downtown, our charity organizations here, Dan, touch on that a little bit because I know you're involved in a lot of our charity organizations here.
Yeah, we've talked about this several months ago, but we're top 2 for charity, in the nation.
Mm-hmm.
How much money that people in this city that give back to the city one way or another, either through infrastructure or nonprofits, which Advance Memphis is one of my favorites that I'm on the board with, and they're helping the poorest zip code right behind some that are in Detroit. Actually, it's kind of funny that parallels, but 38126. So making a difference. You go down there right now, it looks different. I mean, like the Section 8 housing is almost gone. They've raised all those and built in brand new mixed use housing.
Yep.
And having different economic levels, living all in the same area. And
this is in 126.
126, yeah. So it's slowly changing and turning, and it's a whole different place.
That's good because it was voted as one of the top zip codes for crime.
Really?
In our country. Right there behind FedEx Forum. Is that what we're talking about? Yeah. That area there. So that's good news. We're tackling one of our toughest areas. I mean, I'll tell you, man, I've been to every nook and cranny of this city with BPOs and just things that I've been involved with real estate, and that is tough. I mean, super tough.
Yeah, it's very poor. You're talking about generational poverty that we got to help figure out, and I would just say that there's a ton of people focus on that. So that's why if you're outside of Memphis or inside, and just thinking about investing in Memphis, I think that's look at Binghamton.
Yeah.
I mean, did you see the grocery store and all that stuff they're building right there at Broad Street, at the very end of Broad Street?
Yes.
I mean, that's going to be huge. I mean,
that whole little community.
There was the dilapidated apartment there that's been there for years. They raised it.
Yep.
Now they're little Dollar General, little grocery store that everybody can walk to in the neighborhood. There's new houses.
Yep.
I had lunch with a guy last week that he actually lives in Binghamton to give back and be part of cleaning up that area.
That's definitely commitment there.
Being very missional minded, but
distribution, FedEx. That's the. I go to FedEx. A lot of people ask me your favorite zip code. You hope that you have a little bit better quality tenant. If they've got those jobs.
Well, with FedEx comes the other. Companies that want to have distribution here because they can just drive right down the street. Williams-Sonoma and Nike. Why do you think Nike, one of the big reasons they're here, to be able to ship their shoes all over the country within, I say shoes, I mean,
any apparel.
Shoes has probably become, I have no idea. But anyway, just the distribution part, just all the jobs that are created by that. So that's.
What do you think about, when we talk about, corporate offices, we talk about what brings a tenant there? And I've got an idea, but to me, it's the in and out, like subcontracting of people. I mean, you'll have people come in and rent for 6 to 12 months, and this is higher end rental, but you'll have those higher end rentals, they come in for a short period of time. So that's something that contributes. And I know there's huge hedge funds buying these higher end rental properties for some of that reasons.
Yeah, and I think just you bring all kinds of level. When you have a corporate office here, you have $30,000-$40,000 jobs up to millions. So you got a very wide range of people that are coming in to Memphis and gobbling up the homes and wanting to rent, and so that's between International Paper, FedEx, AutoZone, ServiceMaster, CrestCore Realty. I'm just kidding.
We're in there. Come on,
that's
man.
right.
Throw us in there.
That's right. Corporate world headquarters. Yeah.
For CrestCore.
Yeah.
Our world headquarters. Someone start using that. Our world headquarters is over on Summer Avenue. Yeah.
That sounds good.
That does sound way better. Guys, we're live in the studio here with Dan Butler, CrestCore Realty. We're talking about why real estate and why Memphis. This is always an interesting conversation. You can find even different opinions no matter who you'd ask. You know, we could have somebody else in here and they would give us a completely different list of reasons why they would invest here or why they would want to live here. You know, the appreciation I've learned over the last few years for some of these communities and some of these areas, that our stigma of crime, it's here, right? I mean, we understand that, but not every corner of this city is dangerous. Not every street in this city is dangerous. And I have that conversation with people on a national level a lot of, you know, that they use the term war zone, which, you know, is an insult to anybody that's served, you know, for our country. But, you know, they talk about the high crime areas and they talk about, you know, where to stay out of and what to do. There are very few, I'll say this for Memphis, there are very few areas that I say don't do it.
Sure.
And they've dwindled over the last 4 or 5 years. You know,
gotten better.
We used to say, Dan, we used to look at each other and say, I'm not buying anything in Fraser.
Right.
I wouldn't touch it.
Right.
Well, that's not the case now. I mean,
No.
it's the highest zip code for transactions right now.
That's right.
So, I mean, things can change. I mean, I believe that some of the things you're involved with, some of the community outreach programs that you're involved with, some of these zip codes, we mentioned 38126 is a tough one. We might be sitting here in 2 years going, man, 38126 is a booming, you know, place to invest now, and we hope that turns around.
Well, I hadn't thought about, you know, how that ties into the government with, you know, the new mayor and, you know, fight on blight, and so, you know, there's houses out there that would have sat for years and years and years, and they're going ahead and gone. You know
well,
what I mean?
yeah, and like our guest David Lenore came on,
Yep.
we talked about our tax sales, trying to get rid of these, move these on to some
I was about to say,
tenants.
Will said last week that sound like, you know, he read into the new Tennessee code kind of was geared towards Shelby County to try to move the product and, you know, shorten the 1 year redemption to 3 months so that people like you and I would be willing to buy them and go for it and
fix them up,
put
a good
and make
quality
it viable.
tenant in there. Yeah.
Yep. So I think the government legislation is helping all that for us, you know, in Memphis. That's good for the national, international, and local people to hear. But yeah, I'm bullish on. I don't think Memphis is gonna. It's not going backwards anytime soon.
No, there's too many people pushing it forward.
That's right.
There's too many people with power, influence, money. You know, money is power when it comes to these sort of things. But
do you realize how much we got to go look? Somehow we got to figure this out. Look at the BLTs and all those of the world. I mean, not the world of Memphis that have bought all these. You know, we're talking thousands of houses. And if you did say 5,000 houses, we got to get. Let's ask Wendy that question. How many new investor houses have been bought in the last, call it 5 years? You know, and let's just say it's 5,000, and let's say the average rehab is 10,000, which I think is light. I mean, that's huge dollars, right?
Yeah.
Millions, tens of millions, not just a couple million. That's tens of millions that have been poured back into the infrastructure, you know, to make a house nicer, more stable, you know, more viable, worth more, right? I mean, that. I can't tell you how many calls I've gotten about, are you peeling our property taxes this year? I mean, like, that's a big deal. Ours went up 20%.
Yes.
20%, you know. Now, I can't say, I wouldn't just go out and say that our houses have all appreciated 20% because I don't think that's a true statement. But somehow
the
taxes are going up 20%.
That's
so
right.
We're focusing on
focusing on that. All right, guys, listen, I appreciate you listening to the Memphis Real Estate Hour this morning, tuning in with us and joining us. We've Dan Butler with CrestCore Realty has been with us today. We've talked about why real estate and why Memphis. There's some great statistics that we gave out. Hopefully we've got a winner on our trivia question here. I'll check that after the show and get back to you on that. So any comments, any questions, anything you may have, feel free to comment on the Facebook Live feed. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have. Dan will tune in to it as well and answer any. So we appreciate you guys listening today. Join us next week, every Tuesday, 8 to 9 a.m. for the Memphis Real Estate Hour. You're listening to the 107.9 The Voice, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, Dean.
CBS News news at the top of every hour and the most local talk in the Mid-South. This is KWAM Memphis.